Look
Hey, man.
at us. We're back.
Finally, we are finally back
Yeah.
from being gone. I don't even know how long.
I I don't know. Some maybe thought we were dead or
Maybe.
lost, and maybe a little bit of both. But
Yeah.
nevertheless, folks, we're back.
Yes.
Call it a
Yeah.
vacation, call it a sabbatical, a hiatus, but we've
Yeah.
returned. We've gotten back on that horse that is real pastors.
Yes. We life has gotten in the way a whole lot. There's been a lot of
Hmm.
changes in both
Hmm.
of mine and Gary's lives. A lot of ups and downs. So being able to actually get on here has been proven to be very difficult. We've had lots of plans. I could get on, Gary couldn't, and we're
Hmm.
just so committed to doing this together. So that's a lot of the
Yes.
reason why it hasn't
Yeah.
happened. I don't know. Maybe we'll change some of that so just we can get content out to you guys. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Because one, I know some people would like some Western Wednesdays back, but
Yeah. I've got some ideas for Western Wednesdays. It hasn't been forgotten, but I got some ideas on the burner, on the fire poke there. We'll
yeah,
see.
probably more
But
crock pot at this point.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Slow burner.
Yeah.
I was gonna do an episode while you were in California, but two
I
things
thought you
happened.
were. I know.
I know I had it all planned out. I even took movies off my movie shelf to talk about, but then life happened again, and then I was like, you know what? I don't want our first episode back after this hiatus to be without Ephraim. So you were in the past 3 hours.
Yes.
So
And I was
mm,
communicating to the future, to Gary,
yes,
three
yes,
hours
he was
ahead.
in La La Land, and
Yep.
but what a show do we have to return with?
Yes.
And
We are
I'll just
very excited. And oh, I should have worn mine. Dang it. I'm
yeah.
an idiot. But anyways, but yeah, we're talking Ghostbusters Afterlife, and we're just excited. One, because of this movie,
Hmm.
but two, we're finally back on. We finally get to review something. We've seen other movies. We just haven't got a chance
Yeah.
to get out here and review them. Like we saw, saw Venom 2 and saw some other things. But again, life got
James
in the
Bond.
way. Yeah, James Bond.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll do a shotgun review and just hit the ones that we
Oh,
missed
that's
while
a
we
good
were
idea.
gone.
You know
Maybe
what? I
we'll do
haven't
that.
seen Top Gun 2 because it's still not out yet.
Poor Gary. Yeah,
But
but we do.
finally,
We have
Ghostbusters
Ghostbusters
Afterlife.
Afterlife. Oh man. And so Gary was supposed to see, speaking of life getting in the way, Gary
Oh
was
my
supposed to
gosh.
go with us Tuesday night. And it was myself and a couple other guys.
Uh,
And life
yeah.
happened. He couldn't go. And so now like I'm sitting there, I watched it Tuesday night. Gary got to see it last night.
Yeah.
And I know some of you may be like a little late to the party. We don't
I know.
care.
I,
Again, Gary wanted to wait till I got back so we could see it together. Still
mhm.
didn't work out.
Yeah.
Um,
It still didn't happen.
still didn't happen. So Gary
Yeah. I
waited
mean,
for nothing.
Tuesday night, it was me, you, my father in law, and our good buddy Alan. We're
Yeah.
going. And long story short, we had a family emergency. And I was like, these guys are going to think I am insane because a few weeks before, the same thing happened with Dune. I didn't join you guys for
Yep.
Dune either. My wife threw her
Yep.
back out. And so I was like, so yeah, I was like, you know what? I still haven't seen Dune, but I was like, I am not missing Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Yep.
So I went on my AMC A list and I booked a ticket for 8:30 last night. Knew my kids would already be in bed, and I
Hmm.
went by myself last night and finally
Yeah.
saw this movie.
Yep.
So
And if you saw like our trailer review that we posted, months back when it came out, you will know that Gary and I are both very, very excited about this movie
mhm,
because from the trailer we knew this is the proper continuation of the story that we got with Ghostbusters 1 and 2.
mhm,
And there's always been all this talk and stuff about Ghostbusters 3. We never got it, but we got Ghostbusters Afterlife, and if we didn't get 3, so we can get Afterlife, I think it was worth it. I
mhm.
was very, very excited about this movie. I'm sitting there through it like a little kid, just like, this is also great and also awesome. Up there goes our phones with an
Yep.
Amber Alert. Um,
Amber's missing again.
yeah.
Dang it.
So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, so we were excited. I'm sitting there in the movie. I'm watching it. I'm enjoying so much of what's happening and enjoying the story that they decided to tell and how they wanted to tell it.
Mhm.
Um, I was very glad for that. I was glad they did it. And I texted this to Gary, and I'll say this to all you guys is I felt they did it right. They honored the past, but they did it in a classy way, not in a cringy, like
Mhm.
nostalgic way. Like, because when I think nostalgia, I think just throwing stuff from the past up just to
Mhm.
make you feel good. That's
Mhm.
not what they did here. They did it
Mhm.
classy. They did it right. And I was very excited. So, Gary, your first thoughts, because I know we can have plenty to talk about, but I don't want to steal any thunder. So go ahead, Gary.
I Ghostbusters is such a big part of my childhood. The original number two, people bash on number two, but I watched it constantly growing up.
Mm-hmm.
This a proper third Ghostbusters was something I wanted. Oh, it's just me now.
Go
Uh,
ahead. You're good.
Something I've
I'm still
wanted for a
here.
really long time. And don't give me the 2016 nonsense. No offense to the ladies, that was not it. That's not what I wanted, so I didn't bother watching it. But when I saw the trailer for this, I thought maybe this is happening. And Dan Murrell said it best. This is not only the Ghostbusters movie Ghostbusters fans have been waiting for. This was the one they were hoping for. It was everything I was hoping it would be last night, and I'm trying not to just be over the top fanboy about it. Last night was one of the most enjoyable theater experiences I've had, even though it was just me. you know, I mean, yeah. And as we go through the list of why we like it and stuff, I'll talk more. But
Yeah.
excited for this movie is an understatement. It kept getting pushed back due to COVID and other
Mm-hmm.
things going on in the world. But yeah, so
Yeah.
um,
Definitely
so
worth the wait.
yeah,
I will say that.
it was everything. There's more than just nostalgia here.
Mm-hmm.
It could have easily just been, hey, remember this? It was no, it was that plus a whole new thing, and yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's dig into it. So, like we heard some good things, and I guess let's just keep going about some of the good things without spoiling. I think honestly, this might be a video we want to go back and have a spoiler review at some point, or maybe we'll start doing either way. Gary and I have a lot to talk about. There's ideas,
yeah,
but we won't spoil any of this stuff for you guys, because you should go see it. Like this, like so a lot of things. So one thing that had me a little worried was the focus on the kids. Because a lot of times when you have like this passing of the torch and just younger kids, it could either go really well or it could be really terrible. And to me, it's always felt like there's no really in between with movies. But thankfully, with this one, with the kids, the way they first of all they focused mainly on the daughter. They focused on her, which I thought the girl that whatever her name is, the actress McKenna Grace. I thought she
Yep.
did a fantastic job.
This was her movie. She was
Yeah.
incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, so she did great. Honestly, everyone in this did a great job. But pretty much a movie that was like it was resting on her shoulders. Man, she carried it and she did an absolutely great job. Like you said, this was her movie, 100%. And she has some great, fantastic dad jokes.
Yes, she
That
did.
it wasn't something that they just did at the beginning and forgot about it. They carried that bad boy through the whole movie, and it was great. And
Yeah,
I
it
loved it. And it
was an
made me like
ongoing
love
thing
it.
with her character.
Yes, and that's where I was just like, dude, I love it. Like I love what they're doing. I love that we got to dig in to dig into her character, dig into her psyche, dig into what she was doing, and just like get to know her a lot. And you still got to. And what I liked about how they did is how you're able to get to know her, but through her, you got to get to know the other characters around her. Like her brother had kind of his own thing. You got to get to know him a little bit, but like where you ultimately understood his character more was still through understanding her. And so I thought that was really good, which helped really when you're trying to get McKenna Grace to shoulder this whole movie. That's what I was like, that was a great job to do it that way. So everyone truly was supporting her, if that makes sense. Because
Yeah.
you always talk about supporting characters. I really felt that these characters did support her and elevate her character, which was needed for the story.
Yeah, I mean, it was legit. Like at the one point, they all realized, okay, she knows what she's talking about. Let's just follow her lead. And supporting characters did their job,
Yeah.
and this could have easily been. And I think a lot of us, one of my fears was it was going to be like a special Stranger Things episode,
Right.
and it has some Stranger Things elements to it, which is not a problem, but it wasn't that,
Yeah.
and I'm not just saying that because we had the same actor, Finn, I can't remember his last name, was played her brother, and but it wasn't that, and it told its own story. It
Right.
was very similar to, and some people are not going to like this, but I like the movies. It's very similar to The Force Awakens, similar, bringing in the world back, reintroducing the lore the
Hmm.
story with new characters, and I think it did all that very well. And that main character of um, what was her name? um,
I know. I
oh
forget
man,
now. It's been
uh,
a couple of days.
yeah, but the main character, I mean, she just like you said, she carried the whole thing, and it was a Ghostbusters movie with an amazing family element to it, and
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was a great way to be brought back into this world.
Yes. And like another thing that I like too, like you talked about, like this is like kind of the Force Awakens.
Phoebe.
Yeah, Phoebe. Me
Hmm.
personally, I thought they did a better job
Hmm.
of doing this than Force Awakens did,
Yeah.
because of how again they honored the past, they honored what came before it,
Hmm.
and they did that with every single, like, in every way possible. The story as a whole honored the original Ghostbusters.
Hmm.
This movie honored the original Ghostbusters and Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, Harold. I forget his last name.
Ramus.
Harold Ramis. Yeah, right. Like all them guys. Like it honored all them. It did it right. It wasn't like this idea where, because with Force Awakens, sometimes I felt like it was like, hey, here's the people you love, but we don't really care about them. They're
Hmm.
just here so you can like them. I felt that a
That's
lot in
fair.
Force Awakens. Where
Yeah.
with this, it was like, no, these people are real, and what happened before, it was legit and it was awesome. And yeah, these kids may not know who they are because it happened
Hmm.
like Phoebe said,
Yeah.
20 years before we were
20
born.
years. They're watching the stuff on YouTube.
Yeah,
Which and another reviewer brought this up. It was kind of a timeless setting. The kids aren't always on their phones, like their laptops and
yeah,
YouTube is the most modern thing that we see, and which will make it feel timeless, I guess, if that makes
yeah,
sense. And yeah, they're watching what happened in New York in 1984 on their laptops,
yeah.
and Paul Rudd is telling them, "You guys don't know what this is," and
Mm,
so yeah, Paul Rudd was kind of that nostalgia character
yeah.
to them, and they were the new characters, and it just
Hmm.
just mixed well. And what I appreciated a lot about this is, and no spoilers, because if you haven't seen this, I don't want to rob you, if you're a fan of Ghostbusters, for the amazing moments,
Hmm.
but the way it tied in the time in between movies,
Yeah.
there were consequences, there were relationships that were broken, there were
Hmm.
and that made it feel real, like the characters were actually okay. They're not just sitting in the back to put on, they're actually, they took time to develop these characters, what I'm trying to say.
Hmm.
I'm a little rusty, sorry folks, it's been a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what made it, so good for me, was because of that, because of the fact that they actually did those things, and they, like you said, they talked about the time in between and what happened and what's kind of going on, and it made sense. Sometimes that doesn't work. They
Hmm.
did it in a way where it made sense. It's like, okay, this is cool. Um, and then like, and even the way this movie ends, it was like it ended in a way where they can still continue with this kind of storytelling, where
Hmm.
they can still take it in a new direction, but still have these great characters from the past to be a part of it if they wanted to. Like
Hmm.
they don't have to. It could be done
Yeah.
right here and be
Hmm.
done with it. But and it's just they exist and they were heroes and we move on. Or they could have them still come back, whether it's something like some kind of coaching or something like that, right?
Hmm.
And so they left that open to where wherever they want to take the story, they can, and it will make sense. And
Hmm.
so I thought that was a really solid choice there. So I mean, as you guys are saying, like when we love movies, you have good characters, you have a great story,
Hmm.
and they did it right. And I want this to be shown as well. A little side note, if we want to deal with the weird politicalness, I guess, but it's not really. You can have a female-driven lead. In this case, a female child. I mean, I don't know how old she is, but I mean, she's obviously young,
Yeah.
and still have a fantastic movie with a fantastic story that is a new character that was written. And I think like when you brought up like the 2016 Ghostbusters, I think that was the biggest problem, is they just try to act like they just gender swap for the sake of gender swap. They didn't really focus on the story, stuff like that. But
Hmm.
this one gave us a female lead, and it gave us a strong story with her being a strong character, and audiences love it. We loved it.
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean, so that's the thing, is if you focus on that, guess what? People will watch it. People will love it.
Yeah.
Um, and so this is the perfect example of, if that wants to be your focus, this is how you do it right,
Yeah.
and you can still honor the past and still take it in a great new direction.
And she was written so well. Not only did McKenna Grace play this character so well. She was written very well. Like,
Yeah.
you know through the trailer that's Egon's family, and throughout the
Hmm.
movie, it's like, yeah, that is his granddaughter. Like, it's clear. Like, the dad
Right.
jokes are in there because she doesn't know how to socialize.
Right.
So her brother teaches her jokes, and and you're right. She carried it, and it's got nothing to do with political agenda or whatever. Because she was a well written character
Yep.
that as a viewer I cared about.
Yep.
And that's another thing. This I cared about majority of the characters in this movie. Paul Rudd's character,
Hmm.
the mom, the brother, like they all had different things going on. Paul Rudd probably had the least amount of things going on, but you knew who he was. He's Paul Rudd, the local guy.
Right.
And and but yeah, I mean all the characters, I mean they're just really well written. And we got to
Yep.
give a shout out to Podcast, her companion in this movie.
Yes.
He was pretty hilarious.
Yes. Yes, he was. And it was great because it's like he's a podcast guy where
Hmm.
people are kind of like, oh, it's that weird like conspiracy theory podcast guy.
Hmm.
And even though he was that comic relief, for the most part, Paul Rudd's there for comic relief, but he's not in it
Yeah.
as much as you would think Paul Rudd would be.
Yep.
But podcast carries a lot of that comic relief,
Hmm.
and I love how they even honor his character at the end. Which
Yep.
I'll leave it at that.
That was one of
But
my
that was
favorite parts
awesome.
at the end. That was one of my yeah. That was cool. That was cool how they did that. And Paul,
Yeah.
going back to Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd does Paul Rudd things in this movie, and
Hmm.
I'm fine with that. I'm
Yeah.
a fan of Paul Rudd. He was perfect for this movie in this setting.
Yep. I know, and that's what it's all that was really cool. And then, I mean, like even like here's this shot that I pulled up that I liked. Is like even you see like these characters, like you see this shot here, like when you watch the movie, you see everything that they're doing, and like you see this. This is pretty much a moment of them bonding because
Hmm.
you even see, Phoebe and the older brother. Podcast is in the middle there.
Hmm.
Her older brother there. They don't really have the best relationship, but because of the events in this movie, this is the moment where they start to bond, which was really awesome to see that kind of moment.
Hmm.
And again, this is when the movie really picks up, and you're just like, man, this is awesome, this is fun, and
Hmm.
which was the other part. They made it fun, which was really good.
Yep. A lot of fun.
Yep,
A lot of
a
fun.
whole lot of fun. So now we talked a lot about the good.
That's good. Yep.
Gary, can you think anything bad?
Um,
What you got?
I guess anything would be a nitpick. I guess. I mean, there's a couple things. You know, there's one point where Phoebe makes the comment that she doesn't believe in ghosts, and
Mm-hmm.
then all of a sudden she's doing things with a ghost, and there's not like that moment of like, you know what I'm saying? Like it kind
Mm-hmm.
of happened really fast. I guess maybe a pacing a little bit sped up that character development of it.
Right.
I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a moment like she transitions to that really quickly.
Yeah.
And this is a nitpick as a Ghostbusters fan.
Mm-hmm.
And you may know this better than I do, but like the Stave Puff Marshmallow guys,
Oh yeah.
they were adorable. Don't get me wrong. They were hilarious. I didn't understand how they were there
Yeah.
because in the original, the Stave Puff Marshmallow Man was there because that's what Dan Aykroyd thought about.
Right.
And now all of a sudden they're just here. And like I said, those are nitpicks, but I mean that's really all I can think. I mean, um, you know.
Yeah. And I think like I had the same thought too about the Stave Puss Marshmallow dudes.
Mhm.
It was just kind of like, okay, those are there, and yes, weird ghostly things are starting to happen.
Mhm.
But it's just like, but it was kind of thrown in there. That was probably the most here's some nostalgia thing that
Yeah.
they did, because
Yeah.
everything else in the movie that happened for me felt like it had a reason.
It had a reason.
Except for that one was
It-
very much like, okay, we're just gonna throw this at you because
yeah.
you need it.
The other
Um,
stuff had a reason, or it was like really quick that like only
Yeah.
like the fans caught it,
Right.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me, like as much as I love this movie, probably the only bad I could really think of is you had the opening scene, which was great. And if you're a Ghostbusters fan, you know exactly what's going on.
mhm.
But then after that, I felt like you had that awesome scene. And then I felt like probably the first act was really slow for me. Now, granted, we just talked about character development and stuff. So that stuff takes time. But when you're dealing with like Ghostbusters, I get it. Maybe it's one of those things where I'm just like, I'm kind of used to these things just kind of here's this, boom, we're
Mhm.
into it.
Mhm.
So to me, it felt a little slow, but I guess where it makes up for it is once you get to the second act and stuff, like things do speed up, but like
Hmm.
it needed to happen. So
Hmm.
if you're not a Ghostbusters fan, or if you're just like it's been a while since you've been in Ghostbusters,
Hmm.
I think that might turn people off a little bit. Like
It's a
when are
tad,
we
yeah.
getting where are we getting to the point where we're going to be able to see some ghost?
Hmm.
And there wasn't a whole lot of like ghost trapping action.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like so if you're expecting that, I think you're going to be like this movie's really slow.
Hmm.
But the thing is, it all makes sense though. So that's why
Yeah,
for me, it's like it's not really a bad. It's
yeah,
just like that's probably the worst thing I could think of.
yeah.
And
This movie was very much, let's take some time to one, introduce you to these characters, but also reintroduce you into this world,
mhm,
and explain a little bit of the first movie, why things happened the way they did.
right,
So it took time to develop that. Yeah.
yeah,
I will say another thing, and I guess it's not that big a deal. Is like she kind of figured out the technology kind of quick, you know.
yeah,
Um, and I can see people who don't like Ray in
hmm,
um, Force Awakens kind of have the same problems with this. But like I said, that's
yeah,
a nitpick. She's Egon Spengler's granddaughter. She's brilliant. She
yeah.
figured it out, you know.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that maybe they could have explained a little bit better was that you're not dealing with a normal nerdy girl. Like
Yeah.
you're dealing with honestly like and again they don't address this, but this is what I took from it. You're
Hmm.
dealing with a genius.
Yeah.
Like this girl's a genius. And then on top of that, she probably has Asperger's or something like that
Hmm.
because she even says the line, I don't emote like normal people like show
Hmm.
emotions. And
But
so
inside,
like
I'm raging.
yeah,
And
yeah, exactly. So she has like Asperger or something like that, which
hmm.
normally
Watch the
it.
language, please. It's a family show.
I'm sorry, my bad. Uh, but but yeah, so she has something like that. Again, they don't say it, but through the way the character acts, and
Hmm.
then you see her genius. So those things, a lot of times go hand in hand anyway. So her focus
Hmm.
is science and scientific things and all that. So there's a lot that goes into that. So she's really really smart.
Hmm.
And then of course, she has her issues with showing emotions, things like that. So if any of our viewers who are smarter than us on those things know what that is, leave
So
us
there's
a
a lot of
comment.
you, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah. Leave us a comment. Let us know
Yeah.
what it could be.
They
But they're
don't
the
use too
same.
many big words.
Yeah, not too
I
many.
get headaches easily.
Yeah,
So
we don't want to do that to Gary.
no, please don't. But
But yeah,
that's yeah,
so
the bad's nitpicks. I mean, there's gonna be people that don't like this movie, because they don't like fan service and nostalgia, or and that's fine. But there was
but there
just so
wasn't
much good
a
about this.
but there wasn't a
Huh?
lot of that. There wasn't a
No,
whole
no,
lot of that.
yeah, but I've been listening and reading a couple of things, and people just they just find things to be upset about. You know.
Yeah, and that
You
and
know.
that's got to be it. Because honestly,
Yeah.
there wasn't a whole lot of
Yeah.
like, there were some fan service stuff, but again, it made sense.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And there's a moment in this movie that, as a not only a Ghostbusters fan, but a fan of movies,
Hmm.
where I was just like, um, this is why I like movies.
Hmm.
There's a moment towards the end where, as a Ghostbusters fan, I wanted to see this moment, and they deliver it best way they could, and I was just like, thank you,
Hmm.
Jason Reitman. You did your father proud.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
so yeah.
Yeah. I know. I mean, as you guys can say, like we have our nitpicks and stuff, which I guess you can have that with any movie, but we just really love this movie.
Hmm.
There's just not a whole lot more to say. I mean, it was just done. It was just done really, really well. And like you said,
Yeah.
Jason, he honored his father.
Hmm.
They honored so many people in
This
this
could have
movie and
been,
still made a great movie.
and maybe the reason I like it so much is because this could have been easily really bad.
Yes.
Like it could have been just like a fan film, or just all of it, but it wasn't. It was very, very good. But my question to you is
Hmm.
fresh on our minds. You saw it a few days ago. I saw it just last night. Do you think, I mean, there's been some cases where, you know, we've loved a movie in a theater. I know I have,
Hmm.
and then maybe bought it on Blu-ray and went home to watch it and be like, oh, my fandom got the best of me. This is not very good.
Mm.
Do you think that'll be the case for this? I hope not. I don't think so, but I just want
Yeah.
to always get
I
your
don't
opinion.
think I don't think that's going to be the case for this.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Because I genuinely was sucked into this story. I
Hmm.
believed in the characters. I was rooting for the characters, which normally when that happens, it's because I am just like, this is so much fun. I love it. And then I
Hmm.
watch it. I'm like, this is pretty terrible.
Yeah.
So it's like when I come out of a theater, like this was just fun, but I can't talk about characters and story and all that. Then I
Hmm.
realize like, oh, I just had fun in a stupid movie.
Yeah.
For instance, like Rampage, like
Yeah.
I was sitting there, I had so much fun. And then
Hmm.
like, honestly, I still have fun, but like, I know for a fact, like I walked out of that movie's absolutely terrible. It's a stupid movie, but it's a
Hmm.
stupid fun movie. That's why I can go back and watch it, but I
There
won't
you
go
go.
watch it consistently. Where this, I'll probably go back and watch consistently.
Yeah. It was enough for to introduce people to the Ghostbusters world who maybe didn't know it or wasn't fans of it,
Mm-hmm.
and it was enough there for people like us. If you grew up a
Yep.
Ghostbuster fans, the noises, the music,
Mm-hmm.
the turning on of the,
Yeah.
the
Oh, when
echo
they turn
going,
yeah,
the
when the Echo
siren on,
one,
yeah.
the
I
siren
mean,
turns on, I go, ha ha ha. Like I
yeah,
literally just laughed. I was like, yeah,
yeah, just yeah. It was all there for us, and in a good way.
yep,
So
yep, in a good way. And this is one that, honestly, Gary, if they just leave it at this and don't make any more Ghostbusters, I'm okay with it.
yeah.
I'm 100%
Hmm.
okay. I feel like you wrapped up the story well. It doesn't need another sequel after this.
Hmm.
But if they do a sequel, do, then
Right.
I think it could be really, really good. I really
Yeah.
do. And they have everything set up for a really great sequel with these new characters. I
Yeah.
think they could do it. And
It,
they
it,
can make it very interesting, especially since they're all younger.
mhm. If they continue it, I think I would be feel good about it because I think it'd be a good hands with this cast, this director,
Hmm.
and the people from the past that would be there to help, whether they're in the movie or not. But yeah, I'm always gonna be thankful we got this, no matter what they do. I will
Hmm.
say, if you are going to see it, there is a mid credit scene that is done tremendously well,
Yes.
um, and also a end credit scene
Hmm.
that I was. There was only three people in my theater,
Hmm.
and they've all left. A bunch of rookies.
Wow.
I
Rookies
know it's
again.
not Marvel, but come on.
I
And
know.
so yeah, so stay for the end
Yeah.
credits. You don't want to
And
miss
I
this.
love, yeah, and the end credit did another, we're honoring what came
Yeah.
before us. But then they also left it to where, this is why I say, if they wanted to,
Hmm.
they could make a sequel to this specific one.
Hmm.
And they left that open for that, which could be really great.
Very
Um,
cool.
so yeah, so there's a lot that can happen. And even if they did like some kind of time jump, if they waited a couple years
Yeah,
and did a time jump, or they didn't, I don't know. Either way, I think it could be good. But Gary, I think it's time to rate this bad boy.
it is time to rate it. And you know what? I just had a thought.
Yeah.
I think there's another movie that better compare this to
Hmm.
than The Force Awakens, and it is Creed.
Yes.
This was like Creed. This was the
Yes.
Creed of Ghostbusters.
Yeah. That is a good, yes. That's it right
Yeah,
there.
I'm I'm back.
Yes, Gary's
We're
back,
back.
ladies and
We're
gentlemen.
back.
But that is, if you love like this thing, if you love Rocky, you ended up loving Creed for a lot of reasons. But Creed brought
Hmm.
a lot of new fans on board.
Hmm.
And this one probably the same thing. If you weren't a fan of Ghostbusters before, now you will be.
Hmm.
Creed. That's the good one. That's a good one.
Yep. Yep. So let's rate
So
it.
so let's go. So I'm a little scared of my rating, but just because. But I listen, man. I think I got to give it what I got to give it. But do you know what your rating is, Gary? Or do you got to think about it still?
I
You
know
don't
what
have
I
to tell
want
me.
to give it, but I don't want to seem like an over the top fanboy, and I just don't want to hand these things out. But you know
I
what?
know. I
I've been
know.
waiting for this movie for a long time. I appreciate it so much, and it deserves it. Throw five up there.
Boom.
Go
Gary's
see
done,
this
ladies and
movie,
gentlemen.
whether you're a fan or not. Maybe one day it'll be. No, this is yeah,
Yeah.
this is great.
Gary's up there with the 5 Hail Marys. I am up there with him too, man. Like I just
Mhm.
couldn't. I had a hard time finding anything wrong with this.
Enough
Um,
to knock it down.
yeah, exactly. Like we had our nitpicks, but nitpicks don't knock you down. Don't knock you down a rating.
No,
It just doesn't.
maybe it's because as excited as I was for it, it was so much better than I even expected. So maybe
Yeah.
that's why my rating is so high as well. I'm
Hmm.
trying not to just the inner Ghostbusters childhood fan in me. I'm trying to, you know,
Yeah.
but yeah, five.
Yeah. I know it is. They did a great job all the way around. Like everything we've already said. Like this is what we call a great movie. And
Hmm.
is this is a must see, must own. You can't miss. Like you have to watch this. If you even if you're not you haven't watched the original Ghostbusters, You're not a fan of Ghostbusters. Like we said, you can get brought on board with this movie
Hmm.
and you can enjoy it. And honestly, like for guys like us, it's even better because better graphics. The ghosts look
Hmm.
better. Everything
Hmm.
looks better. And they still
Yeah.
use practical effects, which was yet
Yeah.
another plus, which
Yeah.
was really good. And it looked really good.
Yeah.
So you can be brought on board. And then if you want, you can be like, oh, I want to know more. You can go back and watch it. And
But watch
honestly,
the
like
original anyway. If you haven't seen it, it is one of the best comedies of all time.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
hysterical. I
yeah,
mean,
that's the thing. And now this one isn't a comedy, but it is
no,
funny, if
it is
that makes
funny. Yeah,
sense.
it's more of a family sci-fi
Yeah,
drama with some comedy splashed in. The original Ghostbusters is Bill Murray in his prime. I don't need to say more.
yeah. Yeah, there you go. And so, like, and honestly, Gary, this is one. After watching it, I'm probably going to show my daughter the original, so she
Hmm.
knows what's going on in this one. I'm going to take her, my oldest daughter, anyway. She's
Hmm.
10,
Yeah.
and I know she can handle this. There wasn't a whole lot there that I'm like, oh, I don't want her to watch that. So,
Oh yeah.
so
I
I'm
think
going to
it's
go
definitely
back and
safe
watch
to
this
say.
again. Yeah,
It'll be Lainey wants to see it. She wants to watch the original in it. I'm just not quite ready, even though I
yeah.
was younger than her when I saw the original. But no.
Times are different. Kids are
Yeah,
different.
not necessarily content, but maybe a little bit. But it's mostly just there's some scary stuff in there for kids. You know,
Yeah, some scary stuff. So there you go,
the
ladies and
floating
gentlemen. Five Hail
librarian
Marys.
still gets me.
Oh yeah. So there you go. Five Hail Marys.
5.
Watch this movie. Highly
Watch it.
recommend. If you haven't watched it yet, go watch it. If you have, we would love to hear from you. Leave in the comments below. We would love to see what you guys have to say. And just remember, moving forward, it's been a while. If you watch us live, you comment live, then we can throw your comments up there on the screen. We can see you up there. You can see yourselves, and we can talk about whatever you have to talk about. So just remember that that's available to you. And Ghostbusters Afterlife. Rear
Check it
passes are
out.
back. Check it out. The review was awesome. And
Yes.
we have lots of plans. We are back in it. We will see you guys again soon.
Yep.
See you.